Oh yeah, it auto switched. Hey everybody, how's it going? For context, there's a new feature in Restream that it will auto switch from your pre-show into your live show. So I was like, holding my breath, making sure it would actually change over. Hey Andy, how's it going, dude?
Folks, it was a really fun experience joining the meeting today because John was in the middle of testing that when I joined, and so our intro video was playing, and I'm like, "Wait, what's going on? Is the live stream starting? It's 20 minutes early." And I was like, "How do I stop it? Did I push the button?" And then he's telling me he's testing the auto switch feature. It's the little
Yeah.
things. It really is just the little
Hey, that's
things.
nice. I don't have to time it quite as well, now. Like it'll just automatically go. There's no weird, black screen in between. Man, as I put in the chat, it is so nice in Kansas City. It feels like fall today. It's new Apple everything day, not just new iPhone day. It's all the fun stuff. If you're, in geekdom and like all the new gadgets and stuff, it's a fun time. I like September and October and November, all the Burr months.
It is
And
85
yes,
here in Charlotte.
85.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
pretty warm.
It's 72 in Kansas City. So hopefully it's coming your way, Andy. But in lots of things happening around, like all the Apple announcements and exciting stuff with that. And Microsoft had some breaking news as well. Yesterday, they dropped a big blog post with kind of a whole package of like agents, right? It was kind of all agents, pre-built first party agents, whatever you want to call them. So you want to talk about that a little bit to start out, Andy?
Yeah, let's go ahead and dive in because it
Cool.
was quite a bit of news out of Redmond yesterday. Lots and lots of agents. So let's go ahead and bring it up on the screen. And I'm going to lean on Vince's article in LinkedIn for this. There's a lot of other references as well. But there's been a couple that John and I have been using in a preview mode for the last couple of months that have now officially gone GA. And then there are a couple more entering into preview that hopefully we're going to be able to test and look at here in depth. I'm going to jump down to kind of the bottom. I really like the screen or the picture that they did. And so I'll bring this up. But agent-wise, 10 different agents that some we've heard about and we've been using, and some that are now coming around. So first and foremost, researcher and analyst, we've had those for a little while now. Those are reasoning agents. So they use deep reasoning, chain of thought prompting, and they think longer in order to get you answers and responses. Super powerful, but they could take up to 60 minutes to return responses. And then a whole plethora of new ones that they announced, but I'm going to start in the lower left-hand corner with Facilitator. John and I have been working with Facilitator in preview for quite a while, and I'll tell you, that might be my favorite agent because it allows me to take my hands away from the keyboard and just participate in a meeting. The Facilitator agent's great because in a Teams meeting, it's going to automatically generate, update, and append meeting notes for you based off of the conversation. As the conversation evolves, it's going to update those notes based off of decisions that maybe you've revisited or that you've decided to go in a different direction after talking it out. But literally, you can stand back, get your fingers off the keyboard. The Facilitator is going to do all the work for you. And it's a really detailed set of meeting notes, I think even more powerful than if you go to Copilot and say, generate meeting notes. My favorite part of Facilitator, though, is I can talk through a process out loud, a series of steps, a workflow, a business process, and it can capture all of that and turn it into instructions almost immediately. I love it for training. So I say what I'm doing and I speak the steps out loud, and I can turn that into a document pretty quickly at the end, and I really like that. So the Facilitator agent is one of my favorites. According to Microsoft, it is generally available as of September 18th. So I am eagerly awaiting that in my primary work tenants.
Yeah, I've been using it for a long time in private preview and then public preview recently. And same thing. It's really nice to have like the proactive notes. What I like about it is I would encourage you, and we're going to show you later on how to turn on Facilitator before your meeting, so it's just there and ready to go. What's great about it, from my opinion, is that you don't have to wait till the end and get your notes. Because the notes are there in the loop component, you can correct them as you go. One thing that I think is kind of hilarious is when I ask for meeting notes at the end of a meeting, it spells its own name wrong and it says Copilot incorrectly. If I'm using Facilitator, I can watch it type, which means I can go fix that, because I'm a little bit OCD about it and I want to fix it. But it's nice because you can kind of fill in between the bullets that Facilitator gives you. You can add other details. And because it's loop, everybody will see if Facilitator wrote that or if you wrote that or if somebody else wrote that line. So you can you get like tracking in a way because you can see where it came from, but it's more of like an actual participant in the meeting. It can't verbalize anything, but it's there taking notes and it's there chatting as well. Since the private to the public preview, they had added those chat capabilities. So it will remind you about like, hey, we're halfway through. Here's the stuff we haven't covered yet from the agenda. Hey, we're near the end. These are the open questions we need to still cover. Here's the decisions we made. It will kind of, be a little bit more of a participant in the meeting, even though it's just chatting with the people in the participant list. So pretty cool stuff. The skills agent, I'm thinking that the skills agent is what they had, like they were calling it people skills, right? Is that what they've landed on, just calling it the skills agent? It was going to be more people centric.
I'm going to bring in to learn more. We'll bring up some of the actual documentation. And
yeah, because I've used like half of these agents in preview, but the skills one, I was thinking that had to do with people skills.
It does, and
yeah.
The description?
Looks like they didn't talk about that one.
No,
they didn't. All right, we're going to assume that it's the people skills, to kind of like connect you with experts in the organization, but a little bit more intelligently. Like it's not going to only rely on if you're like doing Viva topics and you have pages for a topic and you've assigned you've done all the legwork to assign an expert for a topic. It's not going to have to like rely on that so much. It's going to, be a little bit more open-ended with the people skills modules.
All right. Let's do this proper.
Mm-hmm. And Mark in the chat, he's talking about Facilitator. This is totally, I agree with this, Mark. Like in a lot of ways, the Facilitator agent and the notes that it outputs, that might be the first look at Loop for anybody in your organization. And so it's good as IT professionals or as just kind of like, excited people in technology and people who want to share technology. It's a good opportunity to be like, oh guys, this is Loop. This is why it's so cool. And look, it's portable and it's not just here. I can go make a Loop what's it called? Workspace. And I can, add you to that and we can do more with Loop. Like it's kind of, what did Apple call it? The Halo product. Like people bought an iPod and then they got a Mac. It's kind of like, you get your meeting notes and maybe you unlock like, oh my gosh, Loop is way bigger than that. Mm-hmm. So that's a good thing to think about is like, hey, maybe you need to have like other Loop education ready to go so that when people like get excited about the meeting notes, you can use that as an opportunity to grow their skills in other ways. So back on skills, what do you got here? The people finder.
Yeah, this was actually announced way back in April.
April, okay.
But it looks like it's taking a little while to reach maturity. So it's the evolution of skills in Viva, and it's going to help you find people within the organization to potentially meet the needs of the projects and the processes that you're working on. It's leveraging a lot of information that's stored in your user profiles. Leveraging Copilot is going to open it up because we're going to be able to kind of create that 6 degrees of separation based off of the keywords, phrases, and actual like job titles that are in there. And you could potentially reach cross-platform, cross teams, and find someone who could meet the need for whatever project that you're working on or whatever opportunity that you have. So announced way back in April. Looks like it's finally starting to roll out. And admittedly, I have not gotten hands-on with this one.
Yeah, I haven't really either. I kind of think in my organization, I think there might be some privacy concerns around this. So I'm expecting that I won't be able to use it like right out of the gate. But as we explore it, we'll figure out a little bit more about, where it fits and, if it's kind of ready for prime time, for lack of a better word. What are the other agents that were talked about? There was like the surveys agent. This one I'm a little bit like weary on, or I feel just a little bit weird about. I saw it show up in Frontier for like a couple days, and to me, it's like I don't really know why we need an agent to make forms. Personally, maybe I just don't use surveys enough, but I know that I can go to forms and I can ask Copilot to do it, or I can do it from Create. Now you can make a form in the Create app. So this is one that I don't really see myself using all that much, to be honest. I don't know if it rises to the level of like we need an agent to do surveys. I don't know. What do you think about it?
It'd be interesting. I was actually exploring Microsoft Forms earlier today, and I had a really detailed spreadsheet. It was almost 100 rows of data deep, and then probably 12 columns wide that I'm using for some Copilot project work that I'm doing. And what I wanted to do was basically take a category all the way down the through every row, bring that into a form, and then use the categories to create multiple choice questions, and then create an interactive experience for an upcoming workshop that I'm delivering.
Okay.
All the categories are actually based off of feedback. There's a character limit though in forms. You only get 4,000 characters, and with our 100 rows of data and free form text, we were exceeding that. So it's in like, well, you can connect to a document. Okay, well, let's connect to a document. So I connected to the Excel file, got mixed results. Going to test it, connect to a Word document, connect to a PowerPoint. The point of saying all that is I was making some progress with forms, but I also thought I was starting to kind of reach the limits of what Copilot in Forms was actually capable of. And I really like the use case that I was trying to figure out and see if I could do this, because it's going to help automate a lot of processes that I'm working on. With the survey agent, I haven't had a chance to get hands-on with it, but I'm interested in the way that it's going to interact and behave with the users. I'm interested in the way that I'm going to be able to prompt it, and if it's going to have some of like those same limits, or if it's going to kind of change the experience. So I got the blog post up from Microsoft. I'll make sure to put this into the chat. But what I do think it's going to be helpful with it is that I can surface it through Copilot chat. I don't necessarily have to go through the Microsoft form, link, QR code to potentially surface it. And I think that has some value. With the increased emphasis for Microsoft on Copilot chat, the free version is starting to show up in Office for unlicensed users. The work web toggle for the fully licensed users is also starting to show up in the sidebar in Office, as well as in Teams and the web and in Outlook. And there's a unified chat experience. If we're pushing something like surveys through that chat experience, we can meet people where they're working. We can kind of homogenize that experience to get to the survey. So it's something that I'm interested to test out, but admittedly, I've not been hands-on with this one yet. I've only been able to read like the blog post, but I do like the fact that we can bring it into a chat and potentially meet people where they are.
Yeah, something to explore, I think. I just noticed I went into our demo tenant and we have it because we're in Frontier. Frontier is not like a private program. It's essentially public preview because any organization can opt into the Frontier program at the tenant level. So I do see it showing up. I tried to install it and it says something went wrong. So I'll have to give it a beat, I guess, and let it cook for a little bit. And then maybe I can explore the surveys app a little bit more. What's the next agent that was on that list there? The knowledge agent, right?
This one is the one I'm most excited about.
I saw Jeff Teeper posting about it. This was one that was big enough they made a video about it, right? in this
Yeah,
blog
let's actually
post.
bring that up. Give me a second and I'll bring that up on the screen.
Yeah. So this looks like it appears to be kind of a floating icon, kind of like the experience or the entry point for Viva Engage, where it's floating in the bottom corner of the SharePoint site that you're on. Bring it up, and it's an agent that is, basically aware of the context of the entirety of that site, not just the files on the site, but if I'm correct, it's also the pages and the other content on the site. Is that right?
Yep, you are correct. So let's see if this will play, see if the audio will come through.
Mm-hmm. No, it's not working. It's your noise cancellation's like squashing her voice. So, but if we move forward a little bit, let's see if it kind of shows an example here.
Yeah, so this is the part I thought was starting to get really interesting. We'll post the link to this in the chat. We've had some nuances with Restream today. Not only is there auto switching, but also some of the audio features.
Mm-hmm.
But on the Copilot side of things, what the knowledge agent does is it helps to bring in some of those power user skills to SharePoint that might be missing as it relates to content. So what you're seeing here is that she actually prompted the knowledge agent to look at the material and apply metadata to it. And that's what these columns are showing here. This is highlighting metadata columns, site columns that were AI generated. And so it's using that as a way to auto tag that content. Let me go back to the full screen to auto tag and categorize that content. In my experience with AI over the last couple of years, it does a really good job of defining taxonomies. But if you have a homegrown taxonomy, you can reference that, and the AI does a really good job of classifying content against your homegrown taxonomy. So auto-generating metadata and tagging documents in a library can be huge. But there's some other features that they mention as we move through the video as well, and see if we can pull this up. You can reference to do things like create rules and notifications. So she prompted it and she's like, let me know if new files are added to this particular category or topic. And
so it created a notification rule that you would have been able to do manually. So it's more powerful than like the basic agent that was on every site, which was just a Q&A, like you could chat about the content. This actually will go do things on the site, like add autofill columns, add, a rule notification rule for you. So it's things that like it can actually manipulate your data and do customizations on your site that you would have had to do manually before. I could see that's a lot more powerful than just, it knows everything about the site.
Exactly. But they're not done yet. There were a couple other things in here as well. Let me see if I can pull it up in the video.
And Mark Wayne was saying, hey, I don't have access to this. I think this is one that they announced was coming in preview later this month, early next month.
If I'm not mistaken, they said the preview was starting now, and it's going to run in preview until February of next year. So
okay, so that might be why you don't see it, Mark, is it might be still in preview.
It was just announced yesterday.
Okay, yeah.
So I want to see if I can find that one part of there was one part of the video I thought
Mark
was
Cashman
really
coming in clutch with the answer. Public preview via tenant level opt-in, and it does require a Copilot license, Mark Wayne. Awesome.
All right, I'm going to come back to this one. There was one other feature that I thought was really helpful, and I want to make sure that we see it. Hold on.
I know my SharePoint team has been previewing this in private preview for a while, but I wasn't exposed to seeing what it would do. So I need to pour into this video and understand a little bit more about what it can do, because it seems like it's more of an actual agent, like the standard definition of an agent, where it can do something rather than just answer questions.
Yeah.
So I think that's awesome.
In addition to the metadata, it can also help you with views. So here she's ran a
Mm-hmm.
prompt and she's asking it to sort by criteria. It's actually helping to create views. So it's doing sorting, filtering, and grouping, and actually built that in. I thought that was really cool. But that's not the last thing I wanted to show. This is like the worst demo. We apologize, folks. All this happened in like the last like 24 hours. John and I had a whole agenda like set up there,
Mm-hmm.
and it got blown up with all these announcements. Thanks, Microsoft.
Yeah, it was about this time yesterday. Everything dropped.
Pretty much.
We got like a 1 day warning before that.
The thing that I wanted to show that I thought was actually really neat, it actually deals with the ability to retire outdated content. So you can go in and there's an option to improve the site. And what it does is it can go through and it can look at the content that it has there, retire things like inactive pages, fix broken links.
Oh,
And
that's
man,
nice.
I think that's like absolutely amazing if it can do that. And so when you retire something, um, I don't know if retire just means like archive, but like you'll see that when they do that, it'll put a banner and it'll say this page has been like retired. So where's the site pages? I'm curious to see how that's going to overlap um, within document libraries and like what that's actually going to look like. But I think this is going to democratize the ability for an end user to manage a SharePoint site.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in the SharePoint space for 15 years. I learn something new every single day that I'm in there. I forget things and relearn the things that I've already forgotten. It's a lot to keep up with. And even though at its core, it's three things. It's a tool that helps you to manage content through document libraries and lists. And then it's site pages where you can present and put all that information together. Creating a really useful SharePoint site is an art as much as it is a science. If you haven't seen some of Mark's work, Mark Cashman's work, he's got on his LinkedIn page as of like earlier today, I think, a really great book on goodnight SharePoint subsites. He wrote that with Sue Hanley and Rebecca Jackson. You should go and check that out. It's really good. But managing these sites is not easy, and this is going to really help with that. Retiring outdated content, fixing broken links, updating pages, creating new pages, using AI to help out build out those pages. There's some really powerful stuff that this agent's going to be able to do. So we'll do, I think, a more in-depth demo on this as soon as we're able to like get hands-on with it. But
Daryl had a good point too. That was like, hey, that's part of the catch, right? Is how much value is this type of agent? Is it going to be enough to push you over the edge? And as you're segmenting your users and trying to figure out who would benefit from this $30 a month license, who is it not very valuable for? Like maybe, executive assistants, they're taking all these notes and things like, a facilitator could be a really big, boost for their productivity or the accuracy of our notes and things. On this side, it could be like, well, maybe you need to look at your communications teams, like internal communications or like service adoption type of teams. What's the value for Copilot? Well, it could be what's the potential risk of having outdated or wrong information out there because technology changes and moves forward. How much time does that team spend doing like the gardening and the maintenance of their SharePoint content? Could this speed that up, and could you reclaim those hours to do something different? It's all about that kind of like return on investment or value proposition. You might look at like, okay, here's a segment of users. This would be probably more targeted at people who are actually doing things on SharePoint, not just consuming things on SharePoint, but they're the creators of the content. Maybe they have more value, and it just kind of adds to the pile. And hopefully that pile gets big enough that it, makes sense to go for the $30 a month subscription. Otherwise, yeah, maybe you just keep waiting and maybe Microsoft keeps adding value adds to it. So. Cool. Let me take that comment off the screen. That was a good point though, Daryl.
And I'm going to exit out of the full screen. We'll head back.
Okay. Let's go back to that. We talked about Facilitator. Interpreter, that's one that, it's going to be amazing, especially my organization, who's all global associates. Everybody's, speaking different languages. For me, it falls flat because I only speak and understand English. It's like, okay, cool.
There's an opportunity for you, John. You can learn something new.
To learn something new. Yeah. Well, and on the flip side of it, somebody was talking about like the AirPods 3 doing like the live translation. They were like, is the value of learning a language going down now? Because it's like everybody's going to have this. One thing I've noticed, like I've heard great feedback from my users who've been using it in preview about like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, right? It does a great job. It's very accurate. The one thing that I will point out about Interpreter though is that all of these live translation services do have a little bit of lag. So you do want to be aware of that. One thing I noticed recently, somebody was using Interpreter in a meeting I was in. Interpreter will now put kind of a bubble up that lets everybody know, hey, Interpreter is being used. You should like pause a little bit until it finishes before you start talking. So it's interesting. They give you, as an end user, they give you like this visual indicator now. It's like a purple ring around the person and then a little interpreter icon that says interpreting. And that needs to be your visual marker if you want to be accessible in the meeting to kind of finish your thought and let it finish its little animation, because that tells you, I am done speaking the other language. You can continue talking. So it does add a little bit of awkwardness to the meeting, but if everybody kind of uses that as like, I need to wait until it's done so that this person doesn't get behind in the meeting, that's the only thing I would say. Be aware of all of these live translation features from like Google, from Apple, from Microsoft do have a little bit of lag time associated with them. And we need to keep that in mind when we're working with other people who are leveraging those things. Yeah, Phil says like it's blocked, the AirPod translation. It's blocked in Europe. Yeah, which is like ironically where probably some of the most language discrepancy is. I wonder if anybody knows, is Interpreter available everywhere? I have several colleagues in Europe who have been using it in preview, but I don't think that there was a European Union issue with the Microsoft Interpreter like there is for the Apple AirPods. And it might be because it falls under like business agreements and stuff, where AirPods, they're just out in the wild, and it's a microphone on a person's head. So what else is on there? Agents and channels. This is kind of interesting. I think this picture is kind of messed up, Andy. It says agents and channels, and then the Viva Engage one says agents and channels. It's not the same thing. So agents and channels is talking about Teams channels. Is that right? I think there was a little blurb about that in the, if we scroll up a little bit.
I'll go back to the main document. Here you go.
Okay.
So
yeah, channel agent, it was the second bullet point. So like each channel will get an agent associated with it that will help like with the tasks that are going on, the summaries of like the different threads and the different sub conversations that are going on. Because if you have like a really active channel, you can kind of get lost in, now there's like a new layer with threading, which I personally really like because it's kind of like Discord threads where you could go have a side conversation, but it's in the same channel. The channel agent, from what I understand, is just going to kind of help like make sense of the signal that's within all of that noise, right? Oh my gosh, I can't check my channels every minute of every day. I go away for 6 hours of meetings. I come back and like, it's like that Community gif where he walks in and like everything's on fire, and he's holding the pizzas. I kind of feel like that when I go into a very active team sometimes. The channel agent, from my understanding, will just help me understand what the heck's going on in this channel. Is there anything assigned to me? Who's on top of this different thing? Maybe it's a channel where you're reacting to incidents or something, and an incident pops up. There's a bunch of chatter about it. The agent will help you understand like, okay, I'm coming in as like a leader. What's going on with this incident? Am I needed? Can I help out? Or do they got it? You can get those quick answers with that channel agent without having to like go into the full chat and go mention Microsoft Teams to try to get to the bottom of something. So Phil says, will each agent get an intra ID created with it? I don't think so, Phil, but I'm wondering if Microsoft will maybe go that direction because at least like Jared Spataro in a lot of the blog posts, they've been talking more about hiring these virtual agents on your team, digital employees, and they're talking a little bit more about adding personas to them, like having a picture and putting a name to an agent. I don't think we're that far off with like maybe giving them some type of unique identifier like that. But I don't think I've seen anything about plans to give like an intra identity to an agent so that you kind of know like an audit log of where it is and what it's doing across all of the tenant. Do you know anything about that, Andy?
I do not.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that, but I'm going to make mental note.
I wouldn't be surprised if maybe like 6 months from now there's something maybe with intra to try to like have some type of ID, because that's something my group struggles with. We got hundreds of thousands of employees making tons and tons of agents, thousands of agents out there. How do we know that somebody hasn't already made this idea that I've got 5 times already somewhere else? Why can't I just pull that agent off the shelf? So having like some type of a manifest or index of every agent, I think would be kind of helpful to have me not waste a bunch of time making an agent that somebody better than me already made. So, what is it? There's one more in there.
I want to grab this one.
Project manager. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think this one's going to be really interesting. Microsoft 365 Copilot doesn't work with Planner today. So I have Planner, I have my plans, I've got my buckets, I got tasks, I've got workflows that are built into that. But Planner has its own Copilot experience that's separate from Microsoft 365. And so I have two buckets that I have to go back and forth with. And even if you get Planner Premium, it's limited and it's like real Copilot capabilities. This one is interesting because it's going to be able to work with content that are in the associated SharePoint sites, documents, transcripts, things like that. You're going to be able to leverage that as part of the plan, creating new tasks and doing your project management. I'm excited to try this out because this has been a huge request for my organization. And just in the testing that we've done with Planner Premium, it really just falls short. Hopefully we'll see some more maturity there, but I think this is a great start. It's still not connected to Microsoft 365 Copilot in the way that that's connected in like that whole other ecosystem. It says public preview for Microsoft 365 Copilot license users, so I want to have to really understand how that's going to work with like Planner Premium and if they're still going to be standalone, and understand the licensing there. But that's something to dig into, and I'm excited to figure that out. So maybe we'll circle back to that one.
My understanding of it so far previously had been that all you will need is a Copilot license, and that you will be able to do the activities that Project Manager can do with just your Copilot license. But if a specific like element within that project, like say that you're on a task and there's like fields that are like a P3 type of a planner license, those will just not be available if you're not Planner Premium licensed. But like the overall base functionality would be there from like the agentic like automation and asking questions and having it go do tasks for you. It just, if it hits some type of like some type of spot where it would fill in like some premium type of fields, it just won't do those unless you have premium licensing. That's my understanding, at least. But it's one of those other ones that's in preview, right? Public preview.
Yeah.
So we can finally get our hands on it and start to understand it a little bit more outside of like NDA environments where it's changing rapidly. It's a little bit more real. The community agent. So this is the one that graphic that Bence posted is wrong. It's actually called community agent, not agents and channels. But the community agent is awesome. I've been previewing this one. And essentially what it's going to do is it's going to be associated with your community, and it will help answer questions and surface information. So you'll be able to set it up. You'll be able to choose whether it publishes automatically or it doesn't post automatically. And then based on like what's happening in the group, like the chats and conversations, and then also it says you'll be able to optionally, what is it here? The video that I saw was about SharePoint, but it'll have like other knowledge you'll be able to bring in from like, say, the SharePoint that's behind the community, other SharePoint sources. It will bring that together and post for you basically. And you see here in the description at the bottom that optional setting. So you'll be able to just turn this on and let it have free reign to answer questions, or you'll be able to turn that off, and then you'll get basically like a queue where you can go review and edit or update those answers before you allow it to publish that answer. So you don't, kind of let misinformation run wild potentially. You can check it and make sure that it's doing it. Or if you trust it and it's like not, a mission critical type of community, you could just let it go and it could auto publish its findings and auto publish its answers. I'm really excited about this one from somebody who's running 130,000 person community. Every time I refresh Viva Engage, that little indicator says 20 plus, because there's so much activity. There's no way I can answer every question. We got a team of people who are drowning trying to answer all the Copilot questions. And I'm really excited to hopefully get that agent in that community sometime soon so that we can get a little bit of help. Especially those things that have already been answered like 8 or 10 times, the agent will pick up on that and it will just go ahead and answer that for the person. And in not a rude way. It won't do the whole, let me Google that for you. Here's where the answer is. It'll go ahead and answer it, in full text. So, man, that's a lot. That was like, 30, 40 minutes of just talking about the announcements from yesterday.
And that wasn't even on the original agenda.
Yeah, we still got to talk about all the other stuff on our list.
And we're going to dive into that in a second.
Yeah.
But Mark Cashman has a great question in the chat. I think we take that one. And
is it this one here?
We segue from there into what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
So the question he has is, do you think all the granular agents make the broader Copilot chat better? And if agents get best access and monitor things, they could roll up better. I'm going to take a stab at and go with this one right away. When I look at just agentic AI, there's a text box there, a chat box there. It's a blank box. I've said for the last couple of years, like a broken record, if you don't know what's on the menu, how do you know what to order? And prompting is art and science. And we know goal, context, source, expectations, and then you can append that with role and so forth. And you start getting better results. And over time, you learn how to do those things, but you still have to learn how to talk to the AI. What I think agents do is democratizes AI. Agents are a place where I go when I need to write that newsletter. It's a place that I go when I want to draft the next recipe for Jolly Roger Java. An agent is where I go when I want to have an in-meeting interpreter. An agent is where I go when I want to do my project management. And so I think the granular agents are going to make Copilot chat better, because now the ambiguity about what's on the menu is taken away. I know I go to this agent when I need to do this thing. Just like in an organization, you go to John when you've got Copilot questions, because he's kind of the face of the Copilot program. Or you go to Daryl when you want to learn about modern work processes and things like Microsoft Loop. You go to Mark when you want to learn about getting rid of subsites and creating hub sites and like that kind of architecture. You have people in the organization that you lean on for those skills. I think we're going to look at agents the same way. So I think it will make Copilot chat better, because now I know what agent to engage with for the task at hand.
Yeah, I think right now, Mark, my take on this is not yet, but I think we're going to see a spot where Copilot chat will get better because of these agents. If you think about it, what was announced yesterday, all of those agents, they're floating out in the end products. They're not collated into the chat experience. So I could at mention researcher, I could at mention like the prompt coach, something like that, but I can't at mention the knowledge agent or the, facilitator. Hey, what happened in this meeting yesterday? But what I'm hoping is that the activities and the expertise that are in those agents, I hope that Microsoft will see an opportunity to leverage that expertise in a more automated fashion. Kind of like what Andy said, like about, hey, this person, you can go to them for expert assistance. Hopefully Copilot chat, that kind of like central nucleus, will hopefully start to understand what its appendages can do and be able to call on those agents automatically. I think that might be kind of the next level up, like an actual like dot level release of Copilot chat would be that type of, the technical term is orchestration, multi-agent orchestration, where hopefully you got your Copilot chat running maybe GPT-5 or other models that are, more advanced. And then you say, hey, what's going on with this SharePoint thing, or what's with this topic? And then maybe that core chat experience would say, hey, knowledge agent for this site, it's your time to shine. I want you to come in and provide that. And maybe rather than just it giving references to the raw content, like these emails, these files, these pages, it would be interesting if it would say, hey, this information came from the knowledge agent. Oh, you were asking for an update? Well, for your meeting section, I called on a facilitator to come in and explain all of the meeting chats. I got the emails. That's just your raw Microsoft Graph information, but I'm going to offload some of this to the facilitator to talk about the meeting portion. I think that might be where we're heading longer term, is this idea of like, it's going to have a network of agents that it can go use and call on. Have no idea if that's actually coming or not. But I would think that that's maybe the next logical major type of change that would come to a platform like this. So, cool.
Well, we're going to transition now and go back to our originally scheduled list. We started this deep dive last month. We only got halfway through the list. There were so many things to talk about. So we're going to pick back up with the original list that we had. And what we want to start talking about are some of the audio overview features. There were some announcements that were made. We're now seeing some of those live. We thought it would be fun to dive into that. Some of this is Copilot adjacent, but it's pretty cool stuff, and we thought that you all would want to know about it. So why don't we go ahead and dive into that?
Yeah, we wanted to start with the Create app, right? And creating videos and stuff. Do you want to show that first, or do you want me to jump to that page?
I'm happy to
all right,
drive.
Let's bring you up. All right, we're at the Create. I'm a huge geek for this Create app. And you wanted to talk about some of the, not only just the existence of Create, but some of the special things that you've seen recently, right?
I mean, I think we both discovered some things that were pretty cool with the Create app. And we
just in the past week even.
Seriously. So the image creation stuff is awesome. I use it all the time. I think you've seen it. I love making memes with it. That's like my favorite activity. Anything that I can pretty much describe, it can create for me. Sometimes I have to get creative with the description, but the image generation is awesome. And I've noticed it's gotten a lot faster. I mean, it's generating images for me significantly faster than even just a couple of weeks ago, which is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But the one that jumped out at me and I just learned about is the creative video. Now, there's been a version of creative video in Clipchamp for a little while now, and it's a great feature to start storyboarding and mocking up, thinking about what a presentation could look like, and then getting that to your designers to let them finish out and do that production. But the thing that jumped out at me was this thing right down here, and that's to create a video from a presentation. And it's actually listing a bunch of presentations that I've put together either with John or with my buddy Daniel for some of the workshops and the work that I do for TechCon 365. Coming to Dallas in November, use Honeycut 100 and get a discount. But what is really cool about it is that I can go in and take a presentation, like one of the PowerPoint presentations that I've got, reference that, prompt it, and it will go and create a video with voiceover based off of that presentation. And that's really cool. Now, this will take a minute to compile and run. I love the completion progress indicator, creating that border all the way around. That's subtle, but I just think that's really cool. But it takes just like a minute or two to go through and process, and then it creates a video for you that you can still go back and modify and tweak. And while that's actually loading, this is like the first pass of the thing.
Daryl says it's like watching a dot matrix printer. Like it's going line by line, and the anticipation is killing me, but it does a much better job. It does take its sweet time getting there, though.
It'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. So as it's building the presentation, you can step over to Clipchamp, which we will do in a minute. But now we're in the video. This is the presentation, and you see it created about a 7-minute presentation. It's going to be the same kind of video from before. You won't be able to hear it.
To the fall 2025 signature
I can hear it.
espresso flavors presentation. Discover an exciting range of seasonal espresso creations designed to enrich your autumn coffee experience with unique tastes and aromas. In this presentation, we'll explore the seasonal espresso collection.
It's not reading verbatim line by line in the slide. It's creating a script around the slide. It's adding in transitions as you move between the slides, like animations. It's giving close to what a speaker would give based off of that thing. Now, as we're looking at
it's still the actual slide content. That's important to note. It's your real slides with an AI talk track over it.
And we'll dive into that in more in depth in a moment. But here, once the video has been created, you can go and adjust the tone and the style that's built into it. You can change the voice that it's using for the voiceover. You can even add background music to it. But as you
that's cool. I hadn't seen that.
And work with it, there's version history. So if you change it and you don't like it, you can step back, but you can make your adjustments, create a new draft, and you can go back and forth. Now, this creates the video. You can then go ahead and export that and share that like you would other content. You see it's actually going to generate an MP4 file that you can go and share with someone else. I've only been playing with this for like the last week or two since I discovered it, and I've already got 100 ideas. I just need to script it out, and we're going to actually go without a safety net here in a minute because I got something I want to test, and we're going to see live how it works. But I
noticed that this was like it grayed out the edit in Clipchamp. Is that because the sensitivity label? Because I see a banner there that it has a label on it. So I'm wondering if that's why it didn't create a Clipchamp project this particular time.
Well, that was actually next step. I was going to head into where that video would potentially be stored. So it is associated with your OneDrive. And we're going to go in and we're going to look for... Is it in videos?
Yeah, videos, Clipchamp.
Video project.
That's September 5th, though.
Yeah, so that's not the actual one. So we'll let this export finish. It's only going to take, an hour as a dot matrix printer, and we'll see where that actually goes. In the meantime,
because Daryl's like already a step ahead. The idea is you would open it up in Clipchamp. If you don't want slide by slide, you would be able to give me some stock video to put over this instead of this slide to kind of animate the idea that I'm talking about. Or, hey, it's writing its own speaker notes and doing the presentation, but it got that detail wrong. You could go into Clipchamp, change that text, and because it's text to speech, it'll just update and it'll just speak those words instead. So you do get a lot of flexibility. From what I'm seeing, though, in my tests, I've been able to do it in Clipchamp, but I think the issue here is the sensitivity label. There must be something on this file that's not letting it go outside to create that project in a non, sensitivity label area. So we'd have to try it with something that doesn't have a label.
I just want to say to both of you, thank you for spoiling the demo, because we were going to try to step through that, but it's all good. Now we'll try to show you that in just a second. That was
because what it's doing right now is it's doing the MP4 of it, right? Because now it's uploading to OneDrive, and it's not a project file; it's an actual video file in this case.
You see, that was a small PowerPoint, but it turned it into about a 7-minute video, and it's about 50 megs. I should be able to go back into Clipchamp and
I think it's under your actual videos. Yeah.
Oh, it's right here. So underneath video. So there's the actual video, and then let's see if we can actually edit in Clipchamp. So we're going to bring it over. And it wasn't a video package, which will be different. And I don't know why it thinks that I want to. There we go. So you see, it created one video file, and like if I zoom in to this, like these are not separate tracks, but you can see that there is an audio track underneath it. You can see the transitions in the timeline when it moves from. It does it transitioned like between slides. So you can see that. Let me actually go back now to. Yeah,
it's just a flat video though. Yeah, I'm generating one with another file. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, it doesn't have a label on it, because maybe I'll be able to get to it.
While you're doing that, what I wanted to see, and I'm going to go to the file that this is actually based off of. What I wanted to see, and what I want to try to hypothesize, is this is the PowerPoint that I delivered right here. So I'm just going to open that up for editing. And like just looking at the deck.
Mine has a label too.
So it does have speaker notes built into it. And I haven't been able to confirm this, but we're going to try. And I'm just curious what's going to end up happening with that. Can I change the sensitivity label? Just create an online copy. And then I'm just going to run it, see if I can clear the sensitivity label and then see if I can run it back through. And I cannot. All right. Well, I want to try this one thing. So let's go back now, create a video from a file, No Pumpkin Fall 2025. And I want to see how much is pulling from the speaker notes. That's the thing that I'm really interested in. While
yours is generating, let me show my screen real quick. So I ran into the same issue with the sensitivity label. So what I did is I said, hey, create a video about the new iPhone 17 Pro and its features. So it created a video. It's like 1.5 minutes long. And yeah, it's wonderful. It looks great. The funny thing is, like, that is not, the right camera system. That doesn't look right. Also, it mentioned on here, like, the A18 Pro, that's not the right chip, right? So let me look at this. I can edit in Clipchamp. So let's go fix those details. And what Andy was hoping to do is, like, with the PowerPoint, you'd be able to go in and fix the details. That's if it didn't have a label on it. that was blocking that. So what I'm doing is I'm opening that up as a project. And now if I zoom out a little bit on this, you can see all the different clips separately, and you can see the transitions. You can see the talk track on here. So if I scrolled to what was wrong here, it was the A18. Check that out. I can say, oh no, that's not the A18, it's the A19. So I can fix that detail. And then I can go in to the script right here, and it's got like, okay, yeah, it's 120 hertz. That all looks good. But if it, yeah, so see it says A18 Pro chip right here. I can change that to the A19 Pro and hit save. And now it will say the correct terminology, and it will have the correct thing on there, because this is editable with within this thing. Now, there's a joke here, right? In like literally there's so little changes to the iPhone that literally you could just like change like that one number from an 18 to a 19, and almost this whole video is true now, because like, yeah, of course they made it brighter. Of course they added a triple camera. That's wonderful. But the point is, you can go in and you can change both the spoken words over here, or you can change like the annotations and the clips and all that stuff. So back to you, Andy. Is yours done generating?
It is.
Cool.
So what I wanted to see, and what I'm testing, is how much does this video creation pull from the speaker notes for the voiceover that it actually creates. So I made a couple of changes. Some of you might think that they're a little controversial.
Welcome to the Fall 2025 Signature Espresso Flavors presentation. Discover an exciting range of seasonal espresso creations designed to enrich your autumn coffee experience with unique tastes and aromas. Here's what we'll explore today: an overview of the seasonal espresso collection, bourbon spiced mocha, pistachio cardamom cafe creme, apple cinnamon latte, chai spiced espresso fusion, maple nutmeg cordido, how to choose your favorite, and a nutrition summary, plus ways to enjoy and share the fall espresso experience. And remember, no pumpkin spice flavors for fall 2025.
So that was in your speaker notes, and it pulled it in.
Please note, pumpkin spice flavors are not included this season.
It is,
Yeah.
and that
So
makes me
it
so
pulls
excited.
from the details. You can leave a breadcrumb of hints, and it will put that into the talk track. That's really good to know. Like, maybe you don't put your actual script of verbatim, it sounds too robotic, but yeah, like the key points that you would hit that aren't on the slide, sprinkle those in the speaker notes, and you'd get a better quality video as a result.
That's just
awesome.
Makes me really happy to know that it does pull from the speaker notes as well. So you could have a slide that is very much based around an image, maybe a process, a Visio diagram. And rather than having too much content on the slide when you do the video, you could put some of that information into the speaker notes, and then it's captured, turned into the audio overview, and you still have the option to go into Clipchamp and edit that, but then you can focus in on maybe the process, and that just opens up a lot of opportunities. And I also think it's really cool that if you were to leverage Copilot chat to do your research and then pull that into maybe a Copilot page or a Copilot notebook to start drafting your content, you could then step over and turn that into the outline that you're going to use for your PowerPoint presentation. But you could also take that same thing and turn that into the script that you're going to insert into the presentation. So you're going to be able to have Copilot hit all of those different points and really help you refine the message. And like what you like to do, and this is like really where I started getting a ton of ideas around this, John. What you like to do is go back, like create a mock-up or create a video off of your presentation and see if things flow, if the concepts flow, and if the topic is moving towards your goal. And that's a great use case for it. But now we've got some really cool tools to be able to, in my case, build presentations a lot faster and get content out a lot faster. and I don't have to worry about sometimes like the nuances of having to do the voiceover and the recording. I know you, myself,
what I've
Daryl,
done,
Al, we love video and content, and Jeremy and Mark and others. But like we'll all tell you, getting in front of the camera, recording and editing is the longest portion of that entire process. If I can get some things out that are quick and dirty, that's going to allow me to get things out of my head a lot faster, at least internally for work. That makes me really excited.
Yeah, the polar opposite of that is one example I've used this for in the real world is I've been developing like an architectural strategy doc, and I know what it means because I made the slides, but I always wonder, like, does it flow? Is this gonna make sense to my audience? So I've thrown the raw slides with no notes, raw slides at this create application, and then I've let it generate a video and watched it back to see if the AI figured out what am I trying to say with these diagrams and these slides. And if it flows good and it sounds good, then I know that my slides kind of stand up to that scrutiny. Otherwise, if it just wildly hallucinates and misinterprets the graphics and the layout of the diagrams I made, then I know that like I'm going to struggle to get my point across, essentially. So I've kind of used it as like a backstop to like be like, dude, I've been like heads down on this presentation. I know it upside down, backwards, forwards, but when I go to present it, is everybody going to be, just crickets because they're like, this guy's, talking like a crazy person. None of this makes any sense. So I throw it at Copilot to see if Copilot can interpret it correctly. And if it does, then I know that I'm on the right track. Yeah. So lots of different ways that you can use something like this.
Can you bring Daryl's comment outline Copilot powered topic?
Yeah, here we go.
The chat's not showing in Restream for me.
Oh.
I think so this is a great workflow and very comparable to what I was saying, Daryl. Start with an outline. Copilot can help you research the topics. Copilot can help you to rewrite the talking points and turn that into a script. Then Copilot can help you to plan your clips, create kind of a storyboard for me, help me with some visualizations, help me to ideate around what the slides could potentially look like, and now step over into the video portion, and it can really hit everything along the way. And I think his last comment really sums it up and brings it all together nicely. It helps people to go from concept to video faster, which might be good enough for the task at the time. And I think that could be really helpful in my world, which is the user adoption space. I can get things to people much faster, maybe in a matter of minutes versus, half a day before. So I think that's huge. Yeah.
One thing I would like to see, hopefully, is another shameless plug, we just submitted our call for papers proposal for M365 conference this coming year. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, if we get in, what would be great is like, you got to do social media stuff, right? We want to talk about, hey, this is the topic we're going to speak about. This is why you want to join us in Orlando. This is going to be a really great event. I would really like to, as we're building our actual slide deck for our workshop or for our sessions, it would be great if I could take that, put it into here, and instead of creating like a 16:9, just read out the slides, I would like to say, hey, Copilot, using the content in here, make a 90-second vertical video in the format of a LinkedIn short video promoting this session in the attached PowerPoint for this, conference in Orlando next April. That would be really cool, because then it could be like a social media type of, here's what we're going to talk about, here's why you want to come join us, using that content, but it wouldn't be like just presenting the content, from beginning to end, because you don't want that. What you want is you want to use that content to make a teaser. So I'd kind of like to see, hopefully, a little bit more flexibility in the future to say, I want you to reference this slide deck, but I don't necessarily want you to transform this into a video, if that makes sense. Hopefully we'll see something like that down the road. We'll see.
And hopefully we'll see you all at the M365 community
Yeah.
conference in Orlando in 2026.
If we make it, if we don't make it in, then it'll be useless. Don't go.
Put in a good word for us.
So Daryl has another point here of like, this might be good for storyboarding. It definitely can. And there's two other things that I'd like to show before we go away from Create and go to Microsoft Teams. There's the infographic and there's the poster, or not poster, story. Sorry. Daryl, this might be one of those things where it's like, hey, I've got an idea for a video. I don't know if I'm going straight to video. I've just got the idea, but like maybe I want to break it down into steps. You could, as a temporary step towards going to the video, say that like I need to make a video about how to share a file with OneDrive. You could go in here and say, okay, give me an infographic about how to share a file with OneDrive. And you could see like, what does Copilot creatively come up with, like visual elements to explain the process of sharing a file. And that can kind of help you to say, oh, maybe I should like double down on this theme or this graphic or this idea in my explainer video. And that's a single picture with a bunch of steps on it. So Andy's got one right here. It's the, what's your attachment? Is it the menu?
It is.
Okay, so it's the fall 2025 menu, and we want to lay that out in a graphic. And we could kind of get visual cues by not giving Copilot too much information, like don't lead the witness too much. And you can see what Copilot comes up with and be like, okay, here's some like elements that I should add to my video. So you can do different formats. You can do you want vertical or horizontal? And then we can just create that sucker, see what it looks like. And then the second one, that was the other tab on the across that top, was creating a story. So if you don't want a single picture infographic with a bunch of like step by step, what you could do is you could say, create a story about how to share a file, and it will create a multi-page portrait style slides, basically, that then you could take it, it's in the right format to upload it as like an Instagram story, or upload it as like some type of a story where it would like autoplay, like 5 seconds at a time. So that's just a different format. And those came out just in the last like maybe week or two. I noticed it in the Create app.
Yeah.
That worked out pretty fast, Andy. It created that pretty quickly.
That was pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie.
This one, if you click on the elements, are they actual text boxes that you can move around? Okay, so this is different than generating just a graphic by itself. With a graphic, it like creates like a pixel-based text for you. If you do an infographic, a poster, a banner, a story, the text will actually be text boxes with the right font applied according to your brand kit. And that means you can change the text, you can move it around and stuff. So that's the difference between creating an image and basically creating any other option in the Create app.
Not even gonna lie, this is really cool.
Yeah, and it did it faster because it wasn't using like the the diffusion process to like create the text. It just like put the text on like, I don't know, like an XML type of a layout. So it did it much faster.
And we could transform with AI.
Yeah, you could be like, hey, rewrite this description. I don't like this as much.
Download it as PNG.
Daryl says you can export as a PPT and it's editable. If you hit download, can you do instead of PNG, PPTX? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
If you download and then open that up, yeah, are all the elements independent still? I love just exploring this stuff live. Like, hey, what happens if we try this? It sure looks like it.
Look at that. Okay.
That's kind of insane. Wow.
That's pretty cool. Thanks for the tip, Daryl.
I feel like this is like we finally have reached like Microsoft Publisher in 2025 level of like, like I still knew people back at Cerner who used Publisher like 8 years after the last version came out. It's like, maybe you could like, use PowerPoint to make your stuff.
That's pretty cool. All right, so the download options: PNG, JPEG, PDF, MP4. MP4, huh?
I wonder what that
Download-
does. That's got to be probably just like a single frame for like 10 seconds or something.
We're gonna find out.
Watch it like animate all the text on the screen or something insane like that. It's thinking harder than I would expect.
If the
There you go.
Microsoft design team happens
Mark
to be
says,
watching,
"Power
and
publish."
you guys want to stop by and talk about this with John and I in a deep dive, let us know. We'd love to have you.
I love the Create app. It's really cool. It's one of those things that like Microsoft, like Facilitator, lightning in a bottle. And if they've doubled down on it and they've like improved it. Create is the same way. It's like,
Aw.
guys, you need to invest in this because it's going to be pretty rad. It literally was just 3 seconds. Okay.
Yeah, nothing's
Well, that's kind of useless. But the PowerPoint thing, that's pretty rad.
yeah.
Very
All
cool.
right, cool. And then, yeah, I want to just step back. You did mention that other one, so
The story.
yeah, create a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do that one. Do like how to share a file or something random. And it will create like a multi-page thing for you. Yeah, I'd be curious what it does with the menu. It's probably going to categorize them by drink type or something. Yeah, new menu for 2025. Do that like that kind of cozy like laptop with a like fern and a coffee cup. Yeah, whatever that one is. You got the branding you can apply. I would make it like portrait because like say it's going to go to Instagram. Hit create. And then it's going to create like, I think it's usually 3 or 4 pages. Yeah, it's creating 5 pages. And then you could export each of those out as like a PNG and then just upload them to social media and you've got your story ready to go. Okay, Daryl's saying if your Create doc has animation, it can be exported. Now, I'll have to explore that because I've never done anything with animating inside of there. I didn't know that we could animate. Maybe there's animated GIFs from the media library you can add in. That would be cool. I mean, heck, maybe we can do that on one of these pages right here, like a coffee cup with steam rising from it or something.
The future is wild.
Do what?
The future is wild. Like,
I mean, this is pretty cool.
this is idea to creation in minutes.
And honestly, like not to throw too much shade, I've used Canva for a long time. Canva does have like, better editing, like at that level. But honestly, hot take, Canva AI sucks. And this is like so much easier to use and so much better in my experience. I've not been impressed with Canva AI compared to the Create app.
And I just want to say for like all the professional creators out there, I value the work that you all do. It is hard.
Oh yeah, this isn't going to replace Premiere.
Creator. I think this is a great way to storyboard and get ideas out. And then if we need to go that next level, I think that's where the professional creators are still going to shine. This is just going to help us to get some ideas to paper a lot faster. And so that's why I find it exciting. And from somebody who creates a lot of training and adoption content, I can get something out to my users much faster. And this Microsoft plane called Copilot that we're on, that's being built in real time while we're flying through the air, it's hard to keep up with all the changes and the updates. And these tools can help me to get that message out. But for the professional creators out there, you guys are still going to be able to do some really amazing stuff beyond what these things are capable
Well,
of.
and the shelf life of what we're making, Andy,
to get the idea out.
the shelf life of what we're making is like so much shorter than like what a pro grade. It doesn't rise to the level of like a professional graphic designer, making, because like Microsoft's going to change the dang name for this thing in 3 months from now. And my whole slide deck's going to be, rendered useless. So like, this is kind of nice for that type of scenario. So yeah, if you go into any one of these, it kind of highlighted it. You could imagine that this would be like a story in a reel or a short or something. So if you go into like media, what is that? It says visuals on the side.
Yeah, so we've got, let me zoom in for you a bit.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just like, it's kind of
Yeah.
small for me.
So
So if you
background,
go
transform
down to
object.
like visuals, and then if we scroll through that, is there anything that's like animated in there? There's like remote work.
No.
Okay. See, because that would be kind of interesting. Or if you had in My Media, if you had like, okay, so say you get a professional designer to make an animation of like a coffee cup with steam rising from it, you could go to My Media, you could import that into this slate basically, and then export it as a video, take that to Instagram, and then now you've got some movement on your Instagram story, you know? So that would be an element where like you could take like this is the layout. I'm gonna insert this piece like what Daryl was saying, and then I'm gonna get it out as a video. Mark Hassman says now he wants maple nutmeg cortado. That I think you're gonna need an agent for that, Mark, to order it to your house.
All right.
Cool. Well, I was hoping it would just have a bunch of GIFs, but that's might be something to explore later.
But the story one's also really cool to map out some ideas, storyboard something, storyboard like a short process. I'm looking forward to playing more with that.
Yeah.
All right. We still got some kind of correlated stuff that we want to talk about. So we want to jump back into a conversation we had previously with the audio overviews.
Yes, let's look at that. And I also want to make sure we hit Facilitator because Daryl and Mark were asking about where those notes are stored. So I wanted to show how we set it up. We can jump into a meeting real quick and then explore where the notes get saved.
Okay.
So I want to make sure we circle back to that. Maybe that's what we end on today.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So I'm going to show you this from here. And I'm in Office for the Web. I've opened up a Word document in Office for the Web that's stored in my OneDrive. It's pretty short. It's only 412 words. And in the Copilot sidebar, we have the generate an audio overview option right over here. And it shows up at the bottom of Copilot chat. Now, John and I explored this 1 or 2 episodes ago. And somebody from the product team chimed in and was sharing a lot of roadmap items. We're starting to see those today.
Yeah, they published them like an hour after our live stream.
That was really cool. So I've already generated the audio overview, and the typical controls are there. Speed, jump forward, jump back, playback.
Pilot onboarding at Advocate Health for 2025. If you're curious about AI showing up in your day-to-day...
All right, so it took 412 words and turned that into a 5-minute audio overview, and that's just a different way to take in everything that's there. Our feedback before was we would like to be able to make adjustments to this, such as the duration, the tone, maybe the topics of conversation that are built into it. So what I'm now seeing is that I had the ability to customize my recording. And customize and expand essentially take you to the same place. Brings me here. So we expand the audio overview, and then we can play it here.
Did they work? You're going to want to stick around for this.
Then an interesting graphic, but it expands the playback. However, if I go to customize, now I can change things like the format. Is it narration or dialogue? Change the style from professional to casual, and then I can change the duration. Shorter, medium, longer, but it's created this as an MP3 file stored in my OneDrive. If I make this longer, and I can choose to make that the default, it'll regenerate the audio. Takes a minute to run through that, generate the new MP3 file, and now I've got an audio overview that I can download to maybe put in my SharePoint page along with the embedded document. Or send to a colleague so they can listen to it while they're walking the dog, or play back as I'm reading the document so that I can kind of get dual sensory input and concentrate on the thing, or maybe see something or hear something that I didn't catch before when I was drafting the document. There's a lot of uses for this. It's pretty awesome, but we're starting to see those audio overview customized features roll out now.
So, and I wanted to show,
Today's discussion.
oh yeah, go ahead and play.
Diving into the Microsoft Copilot onboarding for advocate help. Brought to you.
Yeah, so there we go.
All right. I'm trying to get a demo up here real quick to show you guys something. Did you have anything else in the Word section?
Not in the Word.
Or, okay.
Yeah, not in the Word. I will mention though, and I'm just going to go to like my OneDrive. As I look through like the content here, I can create an audio overview from a PDF, which I think is pretty cool. I am not able to create an audio overview from a loop document. I'd like to see that. And I'm not able to create the audio overview from a PowerPoint presentation right now. Would like to see that, but we know we can do PowerPoint to video and Clipchamp, and there's some cool things there. But the PDF one was a pleasant surprise as I was like looking through all this the other day. But that's what I wanted to show for this part of the audio overview. And once it finalizes that, we'll show you where it's actually stored in OneDrive, and you can get back to it.
So let me show you a real world example on the, there it is. Awesome. So on the topic of audio overviews, I have been playing with audio overviews in notebooks. So that's another place you can do it in Word, you can do it in a OneDrive, and you can also do it in notebooks. One thing though is every month I do something called What's New and Next in Copilot. It's like 8,000 people watch it. We do a morning session and an afternoon or evening session, and then we have slides, right? So what I wanted to do is I've created a recap page every month with like, what did we talk about? And what I wanted to do was create an audio overview that then I could like attach to that recap page. And my idea this month, it worked out really well, so I wanted to hopefully inspire you all, is I took the slide deck and then I took the transcript from the morning session and the evening session, put those into a notebook, and then generated an audio overview. So I'm kind of recreating that right here. So what I want to do is I want to create a slide deck about, and then I went to our last session. So I downloaded our session from YouTube last month. This is our 2-hour podcast. I also transcribed it with Clipchamp. So I downloaded that file right here, and I'm going to create a slide deck based off of our transcript of the 2 hours that we talked about what was new in Copilot. So I'm just going to like spin this up real quick and make this file for us. And then we're going to take that and the transcript. I'm going to dump it into a notebook, and then we're going to generate an audio overview. So, yep, this is right. We talked about where we get our updates. We talked about Copilot Chat and Chat GPT-5. Then we talked about pages and notebooks. We went into multimedia. We talked about prompt gallery and history. This is all kind of in the chat section. And then we got to Outlook, and then we talked about Word, and then we ran out of time, right? So that's pretty much it. Actually, it ended with Word. So we're going to generate those slides. And this is something Andy and I have been trying to work on, is how do we take like our 2-hour live stream and make it something that's more digestible for like replay value? Because not everybody wants to sit with I appreciate the 7 people on YouTube and 13 people on LinkedIn who watch us live right now, but not everybody has time to watch a 2-hour playback. So we're trying to figure out, how do we make this more digestible in snippets, right? And
the irony of making a deep dive into
right.
shorts.
And one of the ideas I've had is like, well, what if we know what we said because we have the transcript. We know what we presented because I can kind of get a visual, presentation. Like, take this 2 hours of nonsense transcript and make it something that's presentable, right? And it's making, what is it, like 30 slides or something here? Applying the design. Almost there. I'm just reading the bottom here. The fun thing about this, sometimes it's like watching paint dry. But we've got like, here's what we talked about. That's a weird graphic that it picked for GPT-5. But we're going to do that. I'm going to say what's new in Copilot. I saved it to my OneDrive, so it's there. Now back on Copilot, I've got this notebook, 365 Deep Dive. This is our August episode. It was last month. I took the transcript right here. That's from Stream. I downloaded it, and then I stuck it in this notebook. So that's a piece of its knowledge. Now, if I go in, I'm going to add another reference, which is, well, it didn't rename yet, but that was presentation 4 is the one we just created. So I've added that. I've got the slides. I've got the transcript. If we did multiple sessions of this, we could have the transcript from each one. So we make sure we don't miss anything. And then I could say like, hey, Copilot, give me like 10 shorts that I could, create 10 YouTube shorts. Or I could do this and get a podcast. So we can click audio overview. Here's that customization that I just recently noticed like a week ago, Andy. Do I want dialogue or narration? I like dialogue because it goes back and forth between two people. It's like a male and a female voice. Casual or professional, shorter, medium, or longer. I want to go shorter because, people, their time's valuable. So let's generate that. And it says it's going to take up to 2 minutes to generate. And it's going to pull from, see, I don't have any chats in this notebook. I've just literally got those two pieces of information. It's going to stitch them together into a unified audio overview. So all of that to say, I would recommend checking out in Word, checking out audio overviews in Outlook or OneDrive, sorry. And then also, if you want like a little bit more breadth to multiple sources, try dumping it into a notebook and generate your audio overview there. Okay, so now it's playing in my ear. Oh, wait, that was you. Okay. I was like, I hear a faint thing. I won't be able to play it because it's in my earbuds. But I'm hoping that maybe we can get the transcript up. But the idea is like, dude, you could take like, say you do 3 hours of classes. Let's pause that. Say you do like 3 hours of classes. Well, you could do an audio overview of that, and then you could just publish the recap and be like, hey guys, I'm going to wait till it finishes up, but it's going to say what the full time is here in a second. And it takes a little bit before all this fills out. Okay, so cool. I've taken a 2 hour long live stream and I've brought it down to a 3.5 minute audio podcast. I can also go back in, I can adjust it, I can customize that, I can click keep it, and then now it's going to take that audio, it saved it over to OneDrive, and it couldn't be saved because sensitivity level. We're doing too much with like sensitivity fanciness, but theoretically, yeah, you would save it to your OneDrive, and then you could upload it to a podcast platform. You could upload it, or you could take it, you could feed it into Clipchamp and add a bunch of, clips from like the library. And then now you've condensed your 2 hour class into 3 minutes. It's like, hey, are you on the go? You couldn't make it to our class. Here's the 3 minute recap of what was important. So that's pretty cool. I've been playing with that a little bit at work this past month. So I wanted to share that as you've got these audio overviews in like 3 or 4 different places now. There's just some different use cases for what to use when. Okay, cool.
That will be a fun one to explore when I get back to work.
Yeah, check it out. Because my problem was not necessarily like an hour is not terrible, to kind of like, hey, here's the recording. But it's an hour multiple times and you say different things different times, So I just wanted to dump all of it together and give me a single recap. And then what I did, Mark Cashman's going to love this, is I went into SharePoint and right here, and I went to the SharePoint that was behind the Viva Engage community, and I did new page with AI, and I said, hey, make me a recap for our event. And boom, I gave it the transcript, I gave it the PowerPoint, and it wrote me a blog style news post of here's what we talked about. Then I took the recording as a web part. I took the audio overview as a web part because it's just a file, in OneDrive. I had to upload it to SharePoint. And I said, like, hey, here's the recording, here's the slides, here's a 3-minute podcast where you can watch our 2-hour, catch up on our 2-hour thing. So I'm starting to do that to kind of complete the process of our What's New live stream, to not, alienate people who couldn't watch it live. I want to have something that they can consume later on that's like, in case you missed it, here's this. And I just used Copilot to stitch it all together for me. It took me, I don't know, maybe like 10 minutes compared to, it probably would have taken me a good bit of longer to like actually write this out and maybe record a 3-minute, here's what you missed type of thing. The exhaustion level would have been much higher, to where I wouldn't do it every single month because it'd just be too much hassle,
On that topic, and I'm gonna bring this up in just a second, but Daryl mentioned something in the chat that's gonna tie into this. So one, he's like, I like how you guys are always looking for ways to use Copilot to repurpose your deep dive content. We're trying to find ways to automate a little bit of like what we do, so we can get content out in like some different avenues, and hopefully bring and grow this community. But we're also doing this because this is like helping us with like our day job. Like, we're leading Copilot programs for our respective organizations, and we're reaching very large user bases in some cases. And anything we can do to help to create, generate, publish that content is just going to give us the ability to provide higher quality content. And I know I'm preaching to the choir with a few of our friends that are joining in, but it's opening up some skill sets for us that or helping us to extend our skill sets, and in some cases, like the agents, offload some of that work so that we can really concentrate on like some of the details and that higher quality stuff. But Daryl also makes a point. Did Copilot pick the right things to mention in the summary?
I was going to talk about that. Yeah.
And did Copilot choose like the right thing? And there was a really good Microsoft Day of the Life scenario that I just wanted to briefly mention. The scenario shows like how you can leverage something like Copilot through a bunch of different parts of like a process. I'm going to bring a scenario up on the screen so people can see what I'm talking about, and then I'll tell you where you can go and like find them. So I'm going to switch over. Yeah, thanks, John. So this is part of the scenario library. I'll give a link in LinkedIn and YouTube. But the scenario library has all of these different potential use cases, and it shows where you can plug Copilot and AI into the workflow. So this one is built around drafting social media copy. So the first thing you might want to do is leverage Copilot Chat and then do some research. And then continuing through Copilot Chat, you can brainstorm. So you've got your research, and you can use Copilot Chat as that research and ideation companion to help you think through some thoughts, or maybe look at an opposing viewpoint, or fill in the gaps of what you might not have seen. And that can take you over into drafting something, combining the research with the brainstorming session so that you're able to get something on paper and then start refining it. And in some cases, like, you're literally just talking to the computer. You don't even necessarily have to type, and that can help you to kind of move along a little faster. This entire social media is being done through Copilot Chat. But there are others where it shows different apps that you could plug into the process. And I think that's the thing, like, we can leverage this in a flow of work type of way so that we can address that need. Did Copilot pick the right things for the summary? Did it choose this and skip over the thing that I really wanted it to do? So with John's example for like that audio overview, like, and I'll append the one that's on the screen to kind of talk about that. He's got an idea of what he wants to create a blog post on, and then eventually get the audio overview of. So he starts drafting that using Copilot in Word, and Copilot in Word can now connect to the full Copilot Chat experience for licensed users. And so I can use it for research and ideation, and then I'll have to leave the Word document. develop the document in Word, follow up with additional research and message testing, draft the document, and then I'm ready to like publish it. At that point, I could leverage Copilot Chat to maybe create an outline of bullet points and subtopics that I wanted to talk it to, and drop that into an audio overview, or use one of these tools for the audio overview, and then it's more in line with what I actually want, versus like just letting it make its choices. Now, future state, like in app, just let me pick and choose the topics, like the PowerPoint overview and the slide creator. Let me see what's on the screen, pick and choose to reorder it, and then generate the audio overview. Yeah, that would be like amazing. That would save so much work. But you can use a scenario and step through some of the apps to get to that end result as well.
One thing to call out. So I did go really fast in my example, Daryl. And I think it's at risk of looking like I was doing it recklessly, right? In the real world, though, it is important to remember this isn't autopilot, it's Copilot. You need to be an active participant in the creation, which means probably nobody saw me doing this, but actually when I dumped this file in right here and it started generating the outline, I was reading the outline, and you saw that near the end, I actually got ahead of the output, and I started reciting what we did last month ahead of the outline. And actually for like a second there, I was like, hey, actually, yeah, that we ended on Word. That's what we did, right? So I verified and validated that that was the correct format and it was the correct stuff was there before I hit generate slides. So you want to be an active participant. You want to make sure that like, okay, is this on track? Is it missing something? And then also back here on this, you need to listen to that 3-minute video, right? Or audio. I listened to it several times, and I actually sent it to my co-hosts before I added it to the SharePoint page, because I was like, hey guys, this is amazing. Check this out. So we did have multiple ears listen to it and make sure that it was like what actually happened from start to finish. And the structure of the PowerPoint, I think, helps a lot with that, because the PowerPoint had like structures with sections in it, and it made sure that it kind of had a beat about each of one of those sections, almost like virtual chapters. But you definitely want to listen to the output. Don't publish it right without listening to it, making sure it's what you want to say. And if I were able to save it to OneDrive, it's got a sensitivity label. If I were able to do that, I would also be able to click show transcript, and I'd be able to read what it says and verify and validate that it's accurate. I would like to see a melding of this. So if anybody from Audio Overviews is ever watching this, the narrative builder was a great addition to PowerPoint, because you used to have to like get your prompt just right and then hit generate and hope that it spit out an okay PowerPoint. What Microsoft did is they put a step in the middle where they're like, hey, let's get your narrative right. Let's get your story right. Do you want to talk about this in this order? Do you want to rearrange it? Do you want to insert something, delete a topic? It would be kind of nice if maybe what you could do is go into like an advanced generation mode, where maybe it would generate the outline of the podcast. And then that way you would be able to rearrange, and you'd be able to catch something and insert that topic before it wastes the compute cycles generating the audio, just for you to have to go like, no, I don't like that, regenerate. So that would be good feedback, I guess, for Microsoft, would be, hey, maybe there's value in having a step in between so that we can be a little bit more thoughtful about the generation of the audio overview before we go, heat up the ocean, making this thing. We can be a little bit more thoughtful and have a better result at a higher percentage than just hoping that it's okay and listening to it later on. So, but no, that was a good point to bring out. We're getting real philosophical this month, Andy.
Mark's got another really good comment on there.
What's that? The co-parenting one? Yeah.
Yes.
Mark, he's so like brilliant with his like alliterations and his puns. co-parenting content create. It really is. Yeah, it's like we're doing this together, not just, hey, here's the, here it is. I'm just going to like publish it to 130,000 people and walk away. Well, yeah, that would be a career limiting move, right? Like don't do that. Because also remember, when you publish that SharePoint news, your name is on the authorship. It's not, it's going to be tied to you.
Yeah.
Daryl has a good question here. Can you export the audio? Unfortunately, you can't. That would be nice if there was, like we could with the video, we could edit in Clipchamp. It would be nice if I could edit and alter the transcript and then have it do text to speech. But Daryl, when you save it as to OneDrive, it saves it. I think it's an MP3 file. I don't think it's like an M4U. I think it's MP3. But it'll save as like a flat audio file. And then you could generate the transcript off that because it's just Microsoft Stream or Clipchamp, but you can't edit it. That is a good point, though. It'd be nice if there was like an edit button that maybe would pop you out to Clipchamp and then you could edit the text to speech, because that is missing from the video creation side. Yeah, love your alliteration, Mark. All right.
So we got 15 minutes left.
Yeah, you want to talk about
Facilitator?
that? Okay, so Facilitator, you want me to bring up Teams and show how to set it up? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
please.
So we talked about Facilitator, and there was some questions in the chat about, hey, where's those notes saved? And is it different if like the organizer does it and starts taking the notes, if Facilitator's taking the notes, or if like somebody else in the meeting like starts taking notes? Like, where does the loop file get created? So let's go into Teams. We're just going to go to the Teams website. I'm going to show you how to make a thing here. There we go. We're going to make a meeting, and we're going to call it like fall menu plan. And I'm going to add Andy to this in 365 Deep Dive. So now it's got a Teams meeting, which means that it's got meeting options right here at the top. So when I'm scheduling this, if you're in Outlook, you would hit meeting options in the top of your Outlook if you're on PC. But I'm going to go to meeting options, and then there's Copilot and AI right here. So if I do that, this is where I can say, like, can people use Copilot? Is Facilitator there? I want to turn that on, right? So I want to turn that on. We're going to be speaking English in this setup, and we're going to have a full recap because it's during and after the meeting is over. So I'm going to hit apply, and now I am Facilitator ready, right? I'm going to send that invite, and then we can go ahead and join that meeting, Andy, and see what it looks like here. So I've got this meeting. I'm going to just open it in my browser because I don't want to get all crazy with opening other stuff. So I've got this, and it's going to be using my AirPods. We're going to allow this to work. Okay, so because I enabled Facilitator, you saw that transcription started automatically because Facilitator needs that transcript. So we've got that going in. I could hear myself twice, so I'm going to mute that microphone. Why am I hearing myself twice? Hopefully you guys aren't hearing me twice. Okay. Maybe it was the mic was doing like a loop. So we've got that. We see that AI is available in this meeting. And then when we jump in here, after a little while, like Andy, you might unmute your microphone and start talking a little bit so that it gets something in the meeting. We basically have to talk for like a few minutes, and then we're going to see Facilitator pop into the chat and be like, hey, I'm here. Here's the agenda. And then you'll see it start typing. I think what I saw is it's every 4 minutes. Is that right?
Yeah, it's approximately every 4 minutes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'm hearing me and you twice, but we'll just deal with it. So we can see here though, Facilitator's taking notes. Also, if we go into the more, you can turn off Facilitator if you want. So if like, hey, we're going to talk about something, we don't want notes for the next 5 minutes, you can go ahead and turn that off if you want to. And I'm hoping that like Facilitator's in the chat. I'm hoping that it will pop up here in a second and it will put the little chat bubble that'll say, hey, I'm taking notes. You can ask me questions. If not, then what we're going to see is within like every 4 minutes, it's going to dump a bunch of stuff right here into the meeting notes. Okay, Facilitator's working. There you go. Now you see Facilitator typing, and it types very fast. And it says like, Andy confirmed that it's every 4 minutes. So you can see that. You can see that it's AI generated. And if I went in here and said like, okay, I want to add something to this line, you need to make sure you add Facilitator before the meeting for the best experience, right? So I've added a note in line right here. And when you moused over it here, somewhere in here, I think it'd have to be Andy. If he moused over, he would see my name for this line. And then he would see the AI sparkle for that line because like somebody else added something. So there's tracking there. Now, Andy, where is this stored? Let's go in and actually open it in Loop, right? And that should tell us, I think, where it's physically at. So you can see it's in John's OneDrive, the organizer, meetings, and then fall menu planning.loop. So it's in my OneDrive in a folder called meetings. Now, Andy, I don't know if we should do this again and then have you join the meeting first and see if it still creates it in my thing. Do you want to try that?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me end the meeting. Let me kill it. All right. So we're going to dismiss that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into calendar. We're going to add a new event, call it spring menu planning. We move fast at Jolly Roger Java. And we're going to do Andy. It is a Teams meeting. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use Facilitator again. We're going to apply that. And then I'm going to send it. And I'm not going to join the meeting yet. So we're going to have Andy join the meeting. If you want to share your screen, do you want me to flip to you? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to join the meeting. We're going to let Andy get in. It's going to create the note automatically because Facilitator does that. And we'll open it in Loop and see if it still stores it in my OneDrive. Okay, so I got the alert, but I'm not going to open the meeting. I almost clicked it just out of habit. So you see transcription started, Facilitator got turned on, and you got notes right there. Click open in Loop under the ... if you can. Okay, and then we'll look at the breadcrumb across the top when it gets to it.
It's open in the wrong tenant,
Oh,
so
okay.
hold on a second.
Oh, your Edge profile?
I use my default window. Yeah, I decided to open the other Edge profile, so we'll go with
I think I see in the URL I saw your name.
Yeah, I was trying to go to my tenant.
Okay. All right, there's the spring menu planning. Drop that down. It's in Andy's. Andy was the first one that joined, and when it made the note, Andy was the one who must have triggered that.
I'm having flashbacks, a little
Yeah.
deja vu, because this is what happened with Teams meeting recordings for a long time.
Yeah, it's saved to whoever started it.
Whoever triggered or initiated the recording, it was in their OneDrive. That changed last year, and now the recordings are actually stored in the OneDrive of the organizer. I would argue that the Loop notes should do the same. The meeting organizer is the one that sets the original invite and agenda. I would think that the Loop notes would also need to go to the organizer's account and be associated with the meeting organizer. So I would like to make or propose that as a change to the Microsoft team.
Just see Daryl just say,
with Teams
"Oh, really?" Yeah, it looks like it's saving it to a different spot. Now, Daryl, I do want to point out the gap is important. It's what it's doing is every 4 minutes it's scanning the transcript to update. I have noticed though, it will keep the same stream, like the same structure. So if you're talking about topics and like you went back to a topic that was up here, it will insert up above, like in the body of the note, or it'll add a new topic to the bottom. So it doesn't just do like all these snippets of a summary in line. So there is a pretty good flow, even though it just does it every 4 minutes, where the structure of the topics still flows really well. Cashman is saying, hey, what about if you have a loop workspace? If you have a loop workspace and you're generating the meeting, it's still going to store in a OneDrive, but Andy, you could click the plus button next to the name of it, and we could add it to a workspace. So if we've got like a workspace for a project, then we'd be able to add it to that workspace and kind of collate that data together. That would move it.
And that's a workspace that one of us might own, or a workspace associated with a channel in a Microsoft team, which is now available.
Yep. Yeah. So like, yeah, keep in mind, Daryl's got here, like we need to keep in mind, we got meeting recordings. Now the transcript is like associated with that. So it's not a separate thing anymore. But also you got notes, and those are in a meetings folder in the OneDrive of the user. So any difference if it's a recurring meeting? Mark, I think if it's a recurring meeting, I think it just puts the instance next to the title. I think it puts like the date or something for that instance.
From what I've experienced, it appends the original set of meeting notes. It appends to the end, and it keeps adding to that.
Okay. I was wrong. I was thinking the recap. The recap does a drop down.
I've got some recurring meetings, and what I've noticed is that it goes into the meeting notes section, and it continues and appends to what was there previously, and so the note just starts getting like really long. I'm curious if that's the experience that other people are having. Personally, I would rather each recurrence be its own separate set of meeting notes, and then I can put them together in a workspace. A link between them would not be the worst thing in the world, but what I'm seeing is it's all in one place, and it just continues to append.
What about channel meetings? You want to go really out on a limb? Phil was saying, or I think Mark was saying, Phil or Mark was saying, what about channel meetings? So like, what if we go into let's go way crazy. Let's go into a channel like I don't know, Jolly Roger Java stand-ups, and then let's make a meeting in here. Let's schedule a meeting called stand-ups, daily stand-ups. Let's do both things. Let's make it recurring. And let's say that it repeats every weekday for every week. And save it.
You should put an end date on that.
At 3 o'clock. Okay, let's do it. At 8 a.m., everybody's going to come up. We're going to do every weekday, and we're going to select an end date for like the end of the year.
Of next week.
Yeah, I'm going to go cancel it after this. Yeah. So you're going to do this. It's in Jolly Roger Java stand-ups. It is a Teams meeting. We're going to go to more options right here on the side. We're going to hit Copilot, and then we're going to say Copilot during and after the meeting. Actually, Facilitator is not an option there. So, well, let's send it out and see what happens.
Not available for channel meetings.
Do what?
Not available.
Yeah, I guess it's not part of it. So if I join that meeting and then just join it, we go in here. There's no facilitator listed, but there is Copilot. So if I turned on transcription, now, yeah, Copilot is going to work because I can do transcription. It's there. There's no facilitator, but we have notes. So I'm going to start up the notes. We're going to try to do 2 things at a time here. So it's probably trying to figure out where to make those notes. Oh, they can't load. It broke. Okay, there it is. blah, blah, blah. Go into the notes in loop. Actually, did you notice that? I think this is new. Add to loop workspace. So you can do it from inside Teams. That's cool.
I noticed that when you showed the drop down to open in loop earlier.
Okay. I'm getting an echo again. You might mute yourself in the Teams meeting. So, okay. It's got the note here. It stored it in the SharePoint. SharePoint, meetings, and then daily stand-ups. And look at that. It's got the date appended to it. So, final thing, if we leave this meeting, and then if I go into like my calendar, and do I have like daily stand-ups every day? I'm going to go to like the August 8th one, and we're going to join that meeting. Turn off my microphone. So now I'm in this meeting. The notes popped up, but see, there's those notes that you were talking about. They are, in fact, there. Here's a new note for October 8th. And if I go in, open in loop, then now we've got, it still says 9/19. It still says September 19th, but there's that note from the other one. So yeah, you're right. It's appending to one loop file. But it kind of named it weird, and it has like a timestamp. So there's nothing that tells you it's a recurrence right here. It's a series, but it did save it to SharePoint.
That would be feedback that
So that's interesting.
I would want to make sure the product team gets. I think we need to be able to differentiate between different instances of a recurring series.
Yeah. Well, look at that though. There's two files if I go to the folder. What's that? What's that all about? All right, so I'm going to click the one that doesn't have the info, the thing in it. It's just called Daily Stand-Ups. It's got all three bullets. If I click...
So it created a
what
copy.
The crap?
And then you appended the copy.
It did. Oh, see, that one did not have, here's a note. See,
I'm not sure I need to retract my feedback, because how many of us are going to go to that folder and drill down? And granted, if you look in the sidebar into recent pages, it shows that there are two files there, but
it did do a new note, but
that's a loop to loop.
Yeah, it's a loop to loop. So it did that. But it also named it incorrectly because that was the October 8th instance of it. So,
all right, Daryl's saying go in loop to the meeting notes section.
In loop? Okay, go to meeting notes.
You're in recent. Go to meeting notes
today,
and then you got then it brings it together.
Okay, so there's that, but like that's not going to show in the future. If I go to October 8th, I don't know. Maybe to properly test this, I'd have to do it in a different calendar day, because maybe I messed it up by joining a future date one. Yeah, I joined two instances in the same calendar date, so maybe that's on me. Maybe it would actually have them listed here, because I have seen that view before. But boy, does that look like it's not right in the file list. I don't know. Yeah, we might have to explore that a little bit more and figure out what's going on. But I think to properly do it, we'd have to you'd have to change it. You know what? We actually do have this. If I go into not Outlook, OneDrive. Because me and Andy, we have a meeting every month in this tenant, or every week, where we talk about this stuff. So in meetings, there's content planning. So it's got the date next to each one of them. If I open this up, I'm going to move that off my screen real quick because that's scary. If I open that up and I'm looking around here, and I'm going to go to Copilot planning sessions. Okay. So I'm going to I'm going to make that. There we go. I'm going to make it so you guys can't see the actual notes. But here's the list of notes. So I went into Copilot planning. There they are. That's every date. So if you do it the right way, which is to go on the time where it's scheduled, it does create it as its own standalone with the date associated. Yeah, I must have messed it up because I was doing like 2 calendar dates within like a few minutes. So,
and just for those of you that want to know what we're hiding, it's not state secrets. When John and I join the call, we usually chat about video games or cameras or the crazy things that our kids did over
that's
the
literally
weekend.
what it is here. I will show it. Like, we worked on the workshop. We worked on submitting the M365 conference, and then we talked about like microphones, because like I've been like looking at different mics because I did something with my Insta360 and my DJI mic didn't work. It was really weird. So yeah, we talked about that for like 10 minutes, and then we got on with talking about the conference. It's not state secrets. Okay, I need to go cancel this meeting, Andy, because otherwise I'm going to drive both of us crazy. So, okay, we're going to cancel. I'm editing the series. Cancel series. There we go. Okay, cool. Now I'm not going to annoy us like crazy. We covered a lot of ground with this one.
Yes.
Yeah, we went over a little bit.
I mean, they're all fun, but I had a lot of fun with this.
I like this vibe. I like this, like, hey, we got a loose structure, but we're kind of exploring some stuff, seeing what works and what doesn't. We focused a lot on Create. I think we saw and we learned some things about the different options with Create, talked about some real world examples you could think about. The audio overviews, what you might use that in your daily work, some advice about, about the safety of this and being an active participant, and all the crazy agent announcements yesterday. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff to talk about in the coming months as those agents actually hit GA in our tenant. I think we can, maybe we do some agent, agent fest or something where we talk about the different agents and go into them like we did with Facilitator today. So
yeah. I'm excited Facilitator's out. There's some workflow stuff that we're interested in talking about, like I think what we would call the modern meeting, when you bring things like the Teams meeting notes powered by Loop and Facilitator, and then you have a recording and or transcription. That changes the way that you're going to approach meetings. And there's an entire workflow around that I think that we could do a deep dive on. And there's a couple of different perspectives, because there's like the stand-up meetings like John was talking about. There's content planning meetings. There's project management meetings. There's training sessions, and there's a lot of different like potential use cases for that workflow. So I think that one's going to be on our list of a topic to deep dive into, and like what we can start to do with the modern meeting experience, which is kind of crazy to think about, because like, we've been using Teams now for less than 10 years, and it was pretty cool, but all of a sudden, like, it's getting really powerful with the injection of AI and Copilot, and it's kind of changing the way that we work even more than it already has. Which is
I felt like I had a good handle on almost everything about Teams meetings, and I feel exposed right now that in the past year.
Now we're back to our roots.
Yeah, in the past year, like more and more functionality has got in there, and it's like, well, where's this stored? How does that work? And what about this? There's a lot to this, and that's not even to grab onto something like, what's changed in breakout rooms since we talked about it like 4 years ago. So this was a good one, though. It was a lot of fun.
Let us know what topics you're interested in and where you want to see Deep Dive go before. If you haven't subscribed, like and subscribe. We're supposed to tell you to do that. Tell your friends, follow us on LinkedIn. If you follow the page on LinkedIn and we get a certain number of followers there, we can start live streaming on LinkedIn outside of my account. But hey, I'm happy that you're here. Follow. Shameless plug, Dallas, first week in November, 365 TechCon. I'm going to be there. Some of my friends in the comments are going to be there. I hope you're going to be there. John, anything you want to plug?
No, not much.
Go follow his YouTube
Yeah,
channel.
I need to make some more videos.
Yeah. And if you happen to know anybody at M365 Community Conference, tell them you want to see John.
There you go. Yeah.
There. We'd like to see you there.
All right, guys. I'll see you next month. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.